Hey, so in this video I'm going to talk about the new recent suggested and sampled styles feature that we're currently trialing. It's still subject to change at the moment, and so to enable it you'll need to go to Preferences and set Edge Mode to Yes. But just before we do that, let's look at how things work right now. So I have a selector which targets the heading here, and with new fields that can accept a numeric value like font size, we just have a plain input and you can enter in a new value with your keyboard. For other properties like font weight and font style, there's a finite number of options, and so we present a drop-down menu. So now let's go ahead and enable Edge Mode. And what we'll have here is for the values that just take a numeric field, Microtheme will provide some suggestions if you click on the field. So it keeps track of any new input values you enter yourself with the recent styles, and we also recommend a few suggestions based on what we think are typical CSS values for a given property. So here we've just got kind of a scale of ever-increasing font sizes. The idea behind this is that these are this is a modular scale that designers have agreed on, where the font sizes are significantly different so that you can tell the difference when you go up a level, and they look quite nice together. We've chosen Rem Units because lots of web professionals think that Rem Units have advantages over using Pixel Unit. And it's a goal of Microtheme to teach CSS knowledge as well as providing tools. One rem is equivalent to the font size on the HTML element. The HTML element is the top level element that contains all of the other elements on the page. And you can see here it has a font size of 16. So if we target the HTML element with Microtheme, we could, for instance, set the font size to be larger on for screens over 1200 pixels. That's what this responsive tab does. It targets any screen size up to and beyond this point here. So when you set the font size on the root HTML element, it's common to set this as a percentage. So this means 125% of whatever the user has set as their font size in their browser settings. This is something they can change here in Chrome, for instance. And because allow the user to kind of dictate the overall font size, the base level font size, that's another reason that rems are considered best practice. It also obviously saves the developer time if by changing the font size in one place here, and then as we're designing, if we set the font size of all the different components in Rem Units, they will adjust all in one go proportionally. So let's just go back to our heading selector and maybe set the font size to something a little bit higher. So as well as suggesting styles, Microtheme also provides a way of sampling the styles that your theme is already applying to the page. This is useful for applying much more congruent styling with Microtheme. And a particularly useful application of this is with the font family. So I'm using the 2016 theme here, and if I click this sample fonts icon, you can see the various fonts it's using. For instance, it's downloading and applying a Google font called Merriweather. And if I apply that here, as opposed to using Microtheme's Google Fonts feature, which is going to be updated soon, by the way, then Microtheme will apply the Merriweather font, but it doesn't need to try and download the Google font file itself, so it's quicker. So if you would like to try out these new features, there's a few questions I'd really like to hear your thoughts on in the forum. Number one is just, could you see yourself using these features? Number 2, when you click on this sampled icon, could you just see if it happens quickly or if the browser hangs for a while? And if it does, if you could let me know, I'll see if there's anything I can do to speed that up. Number 3, when you're let's go to margin, for instance. So Microtheme suggests some styles, and so if I click, say, on 1.5 rem, it will then also appear in the recent styles menu. And I just wondered if this should happen, if we should still add it to the recent list, even if it's already here. Just because if people are mainly using the suggested options in Microtheme, over time they'll just be duplicate values, and that might not be necessary. Number 4, would you like to see an option to clear the, like for instance, the sample styles, which can actually be quite a long list. These are all the different margin values that the 2016 theme is using just for margin top, by the way. It's different. It would be slightly different if I sampled margin right, although similar. And it might be useful to have a little clear icon to get rid of these, to keep these menus from getting too messy. And finally, is it too difficult to adjust to these rem values when you've maybe been used to using pixel values in the past, and the computed values the browsers return are always in pixels? If that's going to be a difficult adjustment, do let me know, because I might think about how I would like to make these suggested values as useful as possible. Okay, thanks a lot for watching.